Hello and welcome to the Best on the Rock podcast. I'm Melissa Best, and today I am here with Terrell, Ty, ball game, Mr. Big Brother winner himself, McDonald. Ty, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing? Thank you for
I
having me.
I'm good. I'm very excited. We have talked about doing this for a while. I think we talked about doing this before I had even started the podcast.
Yeah.
And then
I didn't know if it was gonna happen, to be honest. I didn't hear from you
yeah.
for a while.
I know. And then you're like, oh, cool. I guess she's launched the podcast, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be on it anymore. Because we discussed it a little bit in Toronto when I went up for the Traders finale, and you were
Yeah.
at that party. Now,
Yeah.
here's the hard hitting question I'm just gonna start you off with. You were at the finale party,
I
but
was.
had you watched any other episodes leading up
I watched the premiere and I watched the finale, the only two that matter.
to
Yeah.
it? You got the gist in between, right?
I got the gist. Yeah. I know quite a few people, so I know a
Mm.
few people on the traders as well. So I already got the tea beforehand. So I kind of
Okay.
understood what was going on the show without having to watch it.
Have you seen any versions since?
No, I'm brand new to reality. I don't watch TV regardless. Any show, whether it's Traders or Big Brother or whatever, like I don't really watch it unless I need
Mhm.
to. And I felt like I needed to watch the premiere of Traders because, we got a couple of Big Brother people on there, so I had to
Mhm.
support. And then the finale, I had to see who brought it home. Of
You have to watch the finale, of course.
course.
Okay, that kind of leads me right into it. So I figure this is casual. Like we'll chit chat. I've got a couple of questions, everything, but it doesn't need to be like interview style. Like I'll ask you a question,
Mhm.
you answer it right away. Anything that you want to like take into a conversation, feel free to
Mhm.
just go there. But I will start. I figure we'll dive into a little bit of Big Brother stuff. And then we
For
can go
sure.
on about life. I know you've got like a new company started, a new coaching
Mhm.
business. So I definitely want to touch on that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But first, you kind of, I think I know the answer to this anyway, but let's talk about how you got started in Big
Mhm.
Brother. Like you say, you don't really watch a lot of TV. Were you
Yeah.
approached? Is this something that like your friends said?
Uh, So I always had it in my mind that, I wanted to be on a show. I didn't know
Mhm.
what show it was because I didn't really, like I said, I didn't watch too many of these shows. But one of my ex-girlfriends was actually like a super Big Brother fan. And I would catch an episode here and there. And then throughout COVID, when I was trapped in the house, I was like, let me just see what Big Brother's about. So I caught a few episodes. I'm like, okay, I get the gist of it, but nothing kind of like transpired from there. I wasn't really thinking about it too much. Didn't really do much with it past those couple of episodes. And then the end of 2022, um, I was approached and I was like, damn, can't turn on this opportunity. So, I just took it and I said, man, if it works, great. If not, then, no hard feelings. But yeah, that's just how I got my start. It was just lucky by chance.
So like leading up to it, well, not lucky, because I feel like you still set the intention at some point. You know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah, yeah.
still working with that in the back of your mind. Like I really believe a lot in like the law of attraction. Like
The
what you
universe.
focus
Yeah.
on is yeah, like big
Sorry, one
time, like what
second.
comes
Sorry.
up.
Kuzi's
Yeah.
calling me right now. One sec. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry,
Who
my
is
bad. I
it?
got cut
Just
off. Kuzi was calling me actually.
oh, you should have answered.
Good
The
timing.
queen herself.
The killer. Yeah. Sorry, what were we talking about? I was
Oh, I think
saying,
a little bit about like the like what that you put your intention out for Big Brother. So
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you wanted to get on some kind of a show,
yeah.
you watched a little bit of Big Brother and it just kind of came to fruition for you. So
Mhm,
like when you knew you were going to be on the show or like when you were in the casting process, did you
mhm.
watch a little bit leading up to it just to prepare yourself?
Yeah. So when that first, initial contact came through, I was like, well, if this is going to be a possibility, I need to at least understand what the show's about. So I watched season 10,
Hmm.
and obviously the legend Kevin won, which was great. And I
Such a good
understood what a,
season.
a power of veto was. I understood what a HOH was finally. I mean, it's a social game, so I feel like there's a million and one different ways to play it. Every day
Hmm.
is different. But for the most part, I understood the concept of the game, and I felt like that was good enough for me. Something I didn't want to do was dive too much and try to get too nitpicky on the details because I feel like if you go in there and you have too much of a hard set game plan and it doesn't go exactly the way you expect it, then you're kind of screwed, right? So for me, it was like I wanted to understand the concept of the game and then go in there and be flexible. And you know what I mean? It really paid off because there was a couple of instances that nobody could have seen coming, and I don't
Yeah.
think has ever happened in any Big Brother history, period, let
It
alone
was
Big Brother
it
Canada.
was such a good
So I,
season.
so I, yeah, so I really needed to be able to pivot, and that's what I did, and thankfully it worked out in my favor.
So like, and I agree with you because I guess you could call me a super fan. I watched Big Brother US since I was like 12. So like, not
Mhm.
to date myself, but it was live.
Yeah.
Like I was watching season 2. It was my first season I started with.
Crazy.
I was 12. So like, I
Wild.
watched every single season. I
Mm,
never started watching Big Brother Canada until 2020 as well, actually.
mm.
Became up once I saw Big Brother Canada, I was like, this is way better. I'm just gonna put it on record.
Yeah.
It's way better than
Yeah. I
this.
was gonna say that everybody that I talked to says BB Can's better than BB US. So
It's
shout out
so,
to
so
Canada.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
big, big, big props to Canada. So like I
Mhm.
started watching it then, and then I was like, oh my God. I went on a deep dive. I watched all the old seasons. I started watching it as like background noise while I was working.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it became like a problem. But like so many, yeah, like it still is a problem. I'm just gonna be honest with you. But like so many super fans get a chance to get on the show, and it's like the obsession comes through in a different way where like
Yeah.
they feel like you have to win a certain way, or they start
Mm,
thinking about old game plans that other people did and trying to
mm.
kind of reenact that and
Yeah.
do the same
Yeah.
thing, but like you can't prepare you for the cast that you're going to get, you know what I mean? Like you could
There's
watch,
literally no preparing.
you can't, right? You don't know who you're going to get on the show. You don't know who's going to click with who. You don't
Yeah.
know, who you're going to be able to manipulate. Like there's so many
Mm.
different aspects. You don't know what you can maybe prepare a little bit for certain games because there are some games that they repeat every season or every couple of
Yeah.
seasons. But even that, they add twists and changes. Like
Yeah.
it's one of these things you kind of just got to like go with the flow as you're there. And a lot of super fans don't adapt well.
Yeah. I think that was the downfall of a couple people on my season very early on that kind of slapped the target on their back. I won't say no names, but they know who they are.
Well,
And
John Michael
they
broke my heart. I'll just throw that out there. Broke
I
my
didn't I didn't
heart.
I didn't say any names, shout out to JM, but I mean, yeah, he was definitely somebody we quickly identified as a super fan, and we're like, he
Yeah.
also had the ability to kind of rally the women behind him. I could
Mhm.
tell, I think we could all tell immediately it was gonna be a guys versus girls thing if
Mhm.
things had played out without the little twists and turns, but we knew that he would be a problem if, he could get the girls behind him because he can compete as well. Great competitor.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, really good. Like it was one of those things, and it's so funny because I watched your season, and when I saw John Michael, I was like, "Stop talking about how much you know.
yeah.
Like keep that under wraps." But that's something that like in other seasons, it's been to people's benefit that they knew a little bit more
Yeah.
about the game because then people are
Mm.
like, "Oh, teach me." Like I haven't
Yeah,
watched
yeah,
very much like, and it ends up being a benefit. But in this case, I remember watching it and being like, "Stop telling everybody how much you know because you're
yeah,
painting a target." But then
yeah.
the funny thing is when I went on Traders, it's because I go into an obsession. If I want to do something, I like that's it. That becomes my
That's it.
focus.
Yeah.
That's my life. It's like I'm gonna get it. I just do the thing.
Yeah.
So when I got the opportunity to Traders,
Hustler.
I dove into Traders. I watched all of the seasons. I started studying it. Like I went to town. And before they even picked the Traders, I was talking about the other seasons. Like I remember
Mm.
Kevin looked at me a couple of times and gave me the look like you
Yeah.
know your
Yeah,
shit.
they shut
And
up.
I've
Yeah.
and like reflection on that, I was like, I John Michael'd myself in Traders. Like
Basically,
even I really
see,
still think like even if I wasn't a
everybody
trader.
needs to learn. You need to learn from JM and learn from Melby. What
Oh
not to do.
man. Like, dude, and that's how it felt. I came home and I was like, you idiot. Like, but I was just too excited to be there. It's when you're a super fan and you get the opportunity, whether no
Surreal.
matter what game it is, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a dream come true. And you're kind of
Yeah.
like appreciating the moment while you're in it, but
Mm.
also at a heightened level.
Yeah.
And if you're
I
somebody
think
like
I
me
think
who doesn't
somebody
shut up.
no, no, 100%. I think somebody who did well obviously was Daniel C, for example. We knew he was a super fan, but we
Mhm.
never looked at him as he's going to be a problem because he's a super fan. Whereas JM was the opposite. We're like, he's a super fan and he's not afraid to show it. Like he knows this, like
He
he's going
had
to use that game against
strategy.
people, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
that shout out to
Dan
Daniel C, one of the
Daniel
greatest
C
social
had
players ever.
strategy. He
Yeah.
had strategy as well, but he kept his strategy to himself. So like one of the things I noticed with JM was like even there was one time when he got put up and he was like or he was being backdoored and he was trying to think about a situation where somebody got out of the back door before. And I remember I
Yeah.
knew I was actually yelling at the TV because I was like, it was Kiefer. Kiefer did it. But at the same time, I was like, stop with that. That's what's
Yeah.
kicking you out,
That's
right?
what,
So
yeah. That and the
yeah,
fact that he said he's going against the boys. That
that
was
was
one of the craziest things when I watched the show back. I'm
wild.
like, because I was seeing in the house. Zach comes to us and tells us he said the boys, right? But we have to
Hmm.
take everything from anybody with a grain of salt. So I'm
Hmm.
believing him because it's my guy. And I'm like, bro, if he actually said that, he has to go. But when I watched it back and I actually seen him say that in the room with Zach and Dan, I'm like, you did it to yourself, brother. Like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
wasn't us.
It's so funny. Like I won't nitpick all the moves because I think
Mhm.
that was a stupid move for Zach to get rid of him. But we won't even go to because we could just take the game. We could sit here and go from episode one
Yeah,
on through and just nitpick it. And I won't do that because
of
I want to
course.
know about you and your journey with Big Brother and like
Yeah.
outside of the show.
Mhm.
So how did you enjoy it when you were on the show? Like start to
Man,
finish, overall, how was your experience?
dream come true. That's all I can really say. Like every day I woke up just grateful. Towards the end of the season, things slowed down a lot because, especially Final Four, Final Three, it's like it's only four people in this house, and it's
Mm-hmm.
only so many things you can do day to day. But like every day I was just waking up like, man, just enjoy it because one day it's gonna be over and you're gonna wish you were back here. And I'm at that space now where I wish I was back in the house, and I can't believe it came and went already. So yeah, just like zero regrets despite everything that happened. There's nothing that I did or didn't do that I regret.
Mm-hmm.
I would do it again, the exact same way, play the exact
Well,
same style I did. Not
you
style.
had
Well,
the
of course.
you had the ultimate outcome, right? Like
Yeah,
you're not going to
of
change
course.
anything.
No.
I'll
But even
change
if it didn't,
things.
no, but that's kind of what I explained to people. It's like, even if I didn't win, I
Hmm.
knew the principles that I wanted to play the game by, and I played by them. And even though it was edited to look otherwise,
Hmm.
I know the truth in terms of the integrity that I played that game with as long as I could until I needed to kind of. I think my first real lie was to Claudia during the double eviction to keep myself off the block. And in reality, it wasn't like I had to manipulate her. She
Gosh.
offered something to me, and I said, "Oh, sure."
Yeah. And
So
that was a sick
I was
move.
expecting,
That was
yeah,
so
like
good.
that was the game deciding move, right? So it was like
Yeah.
I didn't go to her and try to game her head to get in that position. I was in the bathroom myself. You can watch it. There's somewhere online. I'm in the bathroom walking around, just ready to go on the block. I'm like,
Hmm.
here we go again, right? And she comes in, she goes, I'm gonna keep you off the block, but just vote to keep Shania. And I pause for a second. I'm like, I don't want to lie to her, but this is like, if I get this move, I control this.
But
I'm like,
like,
we're playing Big Brother, and my honesty to this point made me the villain. So let's
mhm.
change the game a little bit. Let me tell a little fib and see how that plays out.
But like when you're in this game, I always say, like, so many people go on and Big Brother and they're like, I'm gonna play with integrity. I'm gonna win without lying. And it's like,
Yeah,
that's the house you can bounce
yeah,
your checks in the Big Brother house,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
that's what people love to see. So I mean, personally, I love a villain. I love to root for a
Yeah,
villain. I love somebody who's not afraid to like stab somebody in the back and like just bring
yeah,
the game. Like good
yeah,
gameplay is what I want to see. Whether that means you have to lie, like whatever you have to do. I mean, there can be good gameplay with integrity, but you're still not going to play a clean game. There's no such thing,
yeah.
right?
Of course.
Like now I will I'm not going to lie. I didn't root for you to win. The first time I was watching it, I was like, this
That's all right.
fucking guy. So how do you feel? You watched it all back.
Yeah, I actually just finished it like maybe 3 weeks ago. Like I wanted to take some. I watched it a few episodes coming out the house, But when you watch these things, it's kind of like reliving them. So it's a lot of
Very
like trauma.
triggering.
It's crazy, yeah,
Mhm.
triggering. So I took some time off, and then right before the year is about to end, I'm like, yo, I gotta watch this in this year before the year ends. And I'm like, I think I'm in a good space now. So I watched it, and I'm like, okay, I was able to watch it without all these, emotions coming
Feelings.
back up. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So
So
how did you feel about your edit overall?
um it's tough to explain because what you see is me.
Mhm.
However, people need to understand like the way certain things are edited, that it makes me look worse, or I wouldn't say better. It makes me look worse than what is actually going on. And a great example of this, because Kuzi, being the very I don't want to call her anxious, but she wants to see everything about her all the time. So she
Mhm.
watched the show as soon as we got out. And one of the first things she said to me was, man, because we got into a little fight early on in the season when I
Mhm.
was explaining to her the Hope situation, the Lara situation. And she goes, man, the edit you got in our fight was terrible. It makes you look like you were standing up to like
Yeah.
bully me. That never happened. Me standing up, I was actually showing her what Hope did to me. But because
Right.
of how they edited it, they shifted it so it looked like I was trying to big dog her. So it's like
Mhm.
little things like that where it makes me look like a really bad guy, as if I'm this abusive guy. I'm like, I would never step to a woman like that, first of all, ever in
Yeah.
my life. But I can see why people didn't like me, and that's fine. I understand. And I'm not, like I've said this before, I'm not mad at production. It's their job to make an entertaining show, and they
Exactly.
need to get a rise out of people, right? So they did that. I'm kind of grateful because in the end of it, it's like you guys gave me an amazing storyline that
Mhm.
people like were invested in. Every week, people are coming back to see, is Ty going home this week? Is
Yeah.
Ty going home this week? No, I'm not. Still here. So it's like I gave Canada a great show, and I can't be mad about that. So as much
Yeah.
as I would have wanted people to see the good things that I did in the house, like from my heart, that wasn't the case, and I'm not mad about it. Like I said, it is what it is, and like I said, if I was to have been evicted earlier, I wouldn't have changed anything because I played
Mhm.
as honest of a game as I could have, and I'm proud of it. You know what I mean? So it just worked out in the end. So thankful for that.
So I notice a lot too. So like I'm watching like US traders now and
Yeah.
UK traders. And like when they're going around the round table, I'm noticing hot sentences. So like when they're
Hmm.
they're fighting back and forth and there's just like a little blurb and I'm like, something came before and after that sentence. Like I
Yeah. Yeah.
know because like I watched
Hmm.
myself in my
Yeah.
round table and I was like, that's not how I answered that question. Or like
Yeah.
I might answer
Exactly.
a different question. They might take that answer and put it in for like
And
a
put it
new
somewhere else.
question.
Yeah.
Right. So like, the production and the editors, they have a story that they're gonna
Yeah.
tell and they have a
And
way
they're
to
gonna
run
find a
with
way to
it.
get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're recording 24 hours a day, you can really find anything that you want, right? And I think an actually better example of that was like when me and Santina got into an argument in that little hallway. And like you can tell it's edited because one clip my hat's like this, then the next one I'm like
Yes.
this, but it's one sentence,
Yeah.
right? So it's like how's my hat switching in one sentence, you know? So that just goes
Exactly.
to show you how they take and piece things together to give
Hmm.
you the story that they want to show you, right? But
Yeah,
it's all love, yeah.
exactly. But I mean, that's the reason if they didn't do that, we wouldn't watch the show. Like
Of course,
they
of
have to
course.
have some kind of a
It's for
storyline, right?
ratings.
So
Yeah,
exactly, and it works, right?
it works.
Um,
They got an extension, 3 years or something. So you guys, Canada, you're welcome. We brought it back for you guys.
that's good. So if it's 3 years, that's at least 2 more years I can keep trying because this year didn't work out. But listen, one day.
Listen.
Shocking. I'm ridiculous. But no, I will say when I watched it the second time, because I watched it, I think I was telling you about it actually before I went to Toronto. I like
Yeah,
rewatched
yeah.
your season. And I liked you after. Like I watching it live, I was like,
Mm.
I don't want this guy to win. Because mostly, but the reason, okay, here's what did it for me. I didn't have this in my questions for today, but it was Sweatergate is what did it for me.
Oh
I
yeah, yeah.
don't
Listen, I'm happy you brought it up. To be honest with you, it's funny
let's
because I
talk
get,
about Sweatergate.
of course, it's funny because I actually got a message. I think it was yesterday night driving home. I got this random Facebook message from someone I have no idea who he is, and I read it.
Yeah.
He's referring to Stuttergate, whatever. So if you want to break down the whole situation,
Yes. So let's for listeners, viewers who don't know what that is,
yeah.
let you give it to us, your words, what happened.
Yeah. So Sweatergate was basically Claudia was wearing Rob's sweater at one point, and me,
And
and this is
Claudia
like
was
very
your showman's.
my
Claudia
the
is
showman
your
said, yeah,
yep.
Claudia's the showman. Yeah. So
Mhm.
Claudia, this is very early on in the season, maybe second or
Episode
third week,
three
I
or
think.
something. Yeah, it was really
Very
soon.
very early on. Yeah. So we are fresh into the showman's, but it was like solidified, like we're in a showman's. She was wearing a sweater, and then in my mind, I'm now in a predicament like I don't know where this goes. Like we had a conversation before, and she's like, "One thing I don't want to do if I get in a showmance, I'm scared to be looked at as one of these girls who's hiding behind a guy or is like using guys to further her game." So now when I see her wearing another guy's sweater, I'm like, okay, well, now I'm like, what kind of player are you actually trying to be? Like, is that the type of person you want to be? Because you just told me you're not. And I'm like, is this even something I want to bring up to her as an issue? Nonetheless, long story short, and then I'll get into the details after.
Mhm.
Um, that was like a determining situation where I'm like, Zach, Rob has to go. So that was like, the Achilles heel for Rob, unfortunately. And we were great up until that point. Still great now in my eyes, at least. I don't think we have any problems. But if I get into the details now, what actually happened was I had no problem with Rob doing that because I knew like Rob is a very nice guy. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I think he would do that for anybody. It doesn't matter if it was Claudia or anything else. But before this, leading up to that exact moment, actually, I was protecting Rob from Zach because what people don't see was that Rob, I don't want to say the word jealous. I don't know. You would have to ask him. I don't want to put words in his mouth. But Rob felt a way about Zach and Santina's relationship. And he confided
Mhm.
in me about that. So he's like, bro, like, really need to like watch Zach and Santina. They're getting super close, blah, blah. And remember, Zach is my right hand guy. Rob doesn't know this. So he's telling me everything how he's feeling about my right hand guy. I'm like, yeah, I get it. So these are still my guys, but like I'm still working with everybody. So I'm like, I need to
Mhm.
get these guys back on the same page. So I sit Zach down. I'm like, bro, we got like I need you to ease up off Santina a little bit. Rob's feeling away, and we got to just make sure we're all good and he's not like suspicious of you or nothing. Cool. But that rubbed Zach the wrong way because Zach felt like he was working Santina. Santina was part of the group, but he felt like he was really pushing for the JM move. to
Yeah.
keep Rob safe. So he's like, bro, here I am trying to get close to Santina to keep Rob safe. And then here Rob is being jealous
Has
that
a
I'm getting
problem
close to
with it.
Santina. So, and Rob doesn't know any of this. And the public doesn't even know this. But I watched the season back and I seen a clip where it was, by this time we already made up our mind about JM. It was Santina, Rob, and Zach sitting in the nook talking about JM needs to go. And then Rob's like, no, sorry, he switched to Renee. And then Rob said, no, we need to keep Renee. And then kind of Zach stands up and kind of storms off. He's like, bro, like, I'm not having this conversation. And he walks into the room with me and he goes, bro, I can't even look at Rob. Like, I can't even talk to this guy anymore. But people don't understand why he said that. It's because he's so upset about the Santina thing. And you don't hear what I say because I'm actually defending Rob. I'm like, bro, just chill out. Like, everything will be fine. They cut that out completely. So you never see me defending Rob. Cool. Then the third situation happens. Me and Claudia are outside. I kind of talk. It probably doesn't look the best. It's cool. It looks like I'm jealous. Cool. Fine. It is what it is. For me, looking back at that situation, I think what it was is a difference of cultures and like upbringings. For me, where I'm from, if you see someone you're supposed to be with in somebody else's sweater, that's weird. But I didn't want to make it a big deal because I'm like, maybe where she's from in her culture, that's no big deal. And I understand everyone's upbringing is different. So I didn't want to like step on your toes or nothing. That's why I said, hey, like if that's
and
who
it's
you are,
also
that's who you
you're
are.
like also I'm on national TV.
Yeah,
How
so it
do I
looks
even
weird.
approach this as like a conversation?
Yeah, I'm like, man, we just got into this show, man. So I'm not trying to make this an actual like. It was just everything in me not to like make it a thing, which is why I
But it
wasn't
was
trying to say
bugging you.
anything initially. But it was like on my mind. I'm like, bro, like if we're gonna work together, I should at least let her know like where my head's at. So that's why I said what I said. Cool. We disperse. Then in the DR, these guys are trying to get me to say anything bad about Rob. I'm like, bro, I'm not upset with Rob. I don't think he had any like malicious intent with it. Like I feel like he's just being a good guy. For me, the issue more so was with Claudia. If anything, I'm like, Claudia, you should know, like, if we're in a show match, it looks weird if you're wearing another guy's sweater. So if I had a problem with anybody, it was with Claudia. It was never with Rob. So I went in the DR defending Rob the whole time, which is why you don't see me talking about that situation in the DR because they didn't get what they wanted from me, but they got it from Claudia. So she was able to pay. She said something like, "Oh well, I don't know. I guess maybe he's just jealous." You know what I mean? And I can tell from what she said, I can guarantee production fed her those lines because just the way she said it, I'm like, she doesn't talk like that.
Yeah.
She can come on here and either confirm or deny that, but it sounds very much like it was spoon fed to her. Anyways.
It could have been like a repeated question or, oh yeah, you're right. Maybe this is, yeah.
Yeah. So I get out the DR from my DR now, again, defending Rob. I walk upstairs and I go link up with Rob, Johnny. I think it was Rob and Johnny, yeah. And we walk into the HOH room and it was all the girls. It was Shania, I think Kuzi was there, Renee, and Claudia. Yeah, Santino wasn't there. Anyways, there's 4 girls. We walk in. I think Renee goes, oh, we're just talking about who everyone likes in the house. And then Renee goes to Claudia. She goes, tell them who you like. I promise on my life, Rob did not miss a beat. He goes, well, she was wearing my sweater. So I said, yeah, no problem. And you don't see this on episode. This is where my mind flipped. I'm like, okay, so you had intentions with that move. So I didn't say anything. I patted him on his back. I sat down. I said, little do you know, I've been keeping your ass safe this whole time. Zach wants you out of here ASAP.
Yeah.
No problem though. So now you're gonna learn your lesson. So it was that was the moment that changed my mind about everything. It wasn't him giving a sweater. I really thought like I had no issue with him. My initial problem was like potentially with Claudia, but then again, I was still trying to rationalize in my head. She's not doing this maliciously. Like she just comes from a different upbringing, and it's okay in her eyes. So like I have to be okay with it.
Yeah. Or at least it has to be a discussion where you're like, this makes me uncomfortable. But again, how do you have that discussion if you don't talk about it, right?
Exactly. So it was weird in my eyes, but that defining moment, which you guys do not see, was the comment that Rob made. And I even told him on his way out, I said, bro, I'll explain to you once we get out of here what was going on. Because you don't know how much work I was putting in to keep Zach off of you for the longest time.
So we're coming up on like almost a year because they're gearing up for season 12 now. 12? Yeah. Yep. Did you and Rob have that conversation?
I told him when we got out, I said, listen, bro, you made a crazy sideways comment. It wasn't like a deep conversation or anything. I don't even know if he remembers it, but I kind of briefly explained to him. And even on finale night, I walked out and I hugged him. I said, bro, we're going to talk after this because I have to explain to you where shit went left, right? But sorry, I don't know if I can swear. But anyways,
Yeah, yeah, no, have at her.
where things went sour, right? But I told him really quickly. I said, bro, like you just made a comment that rubbed me the wrong way, and that was it. You don't know how much work I was putting in to keep Zach off of you.
Yeah.
And I don't go around telling people, oh, I'm keeping you safe. I'm not. That's not me. You guys are
But
my
you
bros.
were
I'm like,
actually doing that there.
man, I wish you guys saw the work I was putting. Every time Zach and Rob was in the same room, Zach, like, he was just in a bad mood after that. I'm like, just
Yeah.
relax, bro. It's okay. We'll be fine. Just get back on the same page. He's just being paranoid, just being anxious. It's okay. We're playing Big Brother. But you
So
don't see any of that.
here's the thing too, because that's the house, right? Like that's the
Yeah, of
game. That's the design of the game is like
course.
put you in with these people. You have to decide who you can trust, if you can trust anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You have to build these relationships while not knowing what people are saying behind your back. So here's like when I watched it live, and there was no live feeds either. This was like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
first
yeah.
year. Now I wasn't a big
Which,
live feed watcher. I'd watch like a little bit here and there, but like I wasn't,
mm-hmm.
glued to the cameras. But like there was no live feed, so they have to decide what they fed us to, and it was utter
Yeah,
crap. But basically, like when I'm watching it live and it was Sweatergate because I'm watching it and same thing with me. Like if I am cold, I'll grab a sweater. It could be my husband's,
yeah,
it could be my brother-in-law's, my friend. Like it doesn't matter. Like that's just
yeah.
it's a non-issue. But then so I'm watching it and you were upset about the sweater and I was like, "What the hell?"
I know.
And
Yeah,
then on a rewatch, when I was watching it the second time, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this a rewatch, open mind, whatever.
yeah,
And I saw you get upset, and I was still like, what the hell? But I was
yeah.
also like, I noticed a little different the second time around because I was like,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't seem to fully trust Claudia, period. Right.
Yeah,
So, like, when I
yeah.
was watching it, you guys had one of the strangest, and I'm sure you've heard it, one of the strangest showmances in
Yeah, the
all
most
of Big
chaotic.
Brother, like that I've ever
Yeah,
seen. Like, you broke up on the show, you got back together.
yeah,
It was wild. It was so wild.
crazy.
And you were in a showmance, but you weren't working together. It was just
Yeah,
wild. So, like,
yeah,
it was very entertaining for us. But like at the same time, when I watched it the second time around, I was like, okay, he likes this girl.
yeah,
He likes her, but because of the situation that he's meeting her in, he
mm,
doesn't fully trust her. Because you were like,
yeah,
well, what if she's just pretending to like me? And she was probably doing the
yeah,
same. Like, I can
yeah.
see that the Big Brother house is not exactly the easiest place to meet someone and start a
It's not at
trusting
all.
relationship, right? Like you're
Yeah,
starting off on a
yeah,
shaky foundation. So when I
yeah,
watched it the second time and I saw Sweatergate, I was like, okay, whatever way I feel about sweaters, which
yeah,
is very
yeah,
neutral. But I was just like,
yeah,
it's likely that he was already on eggshells about what
yeah,
is this relationship? Can I trust this person? Should we work together?
yeah,
But now she's wearing this other guy's sweater. Is there something secret that I don't know? So I figured that it
yeah.
was probably not so much a jealousy thing as it was,
Mm,
or not even an insecurity thing, because that's kind of
yeah.
like the way it felt the first time around
Of
was like
course,
an
yeah. And
insecurity thing.
and like I said, I'm not mad. Like even watching it
Yeah.
myself, I'm not like I, I understand why people would have looked at it like this guy just a jealous guy trying to control it. I'm like, I get it. But
Yeah.
that's not what's going in my mind. It's like the reason why I wasn't trying to say anything is because I didn't want to come off that way to her. I'm like, listen, play your game. If this
Hmm.
is you, cool, play. That's just not how I want to play my game. You're not gonna see me out here flirting with other girls if I'm in a showmance with you. But
Right.
that's because I came in the house saying I'm gonna play this with as much integrity as possible. And to
Hmm.
me, integrity is not being in a showmance with somebody, but flirting with the rest of the house or doing whatever
Right.
with it. That's just
And I
not
mean,
me. And I
that
get it, you know?
makes that makes more sense. And like I said, like when I watched it the second time around, I was like, okay, this is not pissing me off like it did the
Yeah.
first time. I was like, come on. But the second time
Yeah.
I was like, okay, like, like because you also have to remember that we're watching a show. You are fully submerged in this
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
you
life.
know,
Yeah. I mean, we don't see everything you guys are seeing, right? So it's like,
and
again, I'm trying to learn.
you're isolated. Like even your isolation with Big Brother was different from what I did with the traders. Cause at least with the
Yeah.
traders, like they took our phones, we had no TV, no, like, no internet, all that kind of stuff. But like we had a production crew on
Mm,
set, right? We
yeah.
had people who had cameras following us around. We had lunch breaks where there would be other production mic runners, like people fixing our
Yeah.
batteries. Like we saw other faces besides ourselves.
Yeah.
Big Brother, I don't think people
Yeah.
really realize how secluded you are. Like you're literally shoved in the house. If they want to do something with the set, they lock everybody in a room and then they do
Yep.
whatever they need to do and then they let you out. Like it's
Yep.
it's like a
You
nice
don't
little
see
jail.
anybody. Yeah. It
Like,
is. It is. Honestly, like obviously I can't get too much into production, but yeah,
yeah.
like you said, I'm sure everyone knows that. It's just like you're in there, there's no contact with the outside world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's like any contact, which is like, for example, an HOH letter, which leads to letter gate, that is a
Hmm.
luxury. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So it's like you have to understand, looking at us from the outside, you guys are still immersed in your life, and like you have connections. We don't have that. I'm meeting these people for the first time, trying to put my trust in them, and it's like I'm also having to like learn them as we go. So it's like,
mm-hmm.
yeah, I want to trust you, but I also don't know if this is truly who you are, if this is a game you're playing, if you're trying to game me, you know. So I'm trying to figure this out
Exactly.
while being a half decent person, because again, that was what I wanted to do: be a good person in the house. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to be someone I'm not. I didn't mind being a villain, but I didn't want to be a piece of shit villain. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
If people are gonna hate me, it's because I was so good at what I was doing that you're like, nah, I don't want this guy to win. Not because he's misogynistic or because he's abusive. Or I didn't want to be any of that stuff. That
mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be a villain for those reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Well,
again,
listen,
that's how it goes.
also after meeting Kuzi, like I met her personally.
Yeah, yeah, of
And
course.
knowing the type
Castmates.
of person that she is, like she's got such a big heart, but she's a take no shit type of woman. And
Yeah,
like Kuzi likes you. You and Kuzi are
yeah.
friends. That's
That's the
all I need
homie.
to know. Because Kuzi
Yeah,
is not going to be friends with someone who's a misogynist. She's not going to be
of
friends with
course.
someone who's, like just a bad person. So
Yeah,
realistically, like you already have the Kuzi stamp of approval.
yeah,
That's good enough for me. People might not realize that, but like that's
yeah,
that's
yeah,
huge, right? Like she's
yeah,
not gonna sit down and be like, "Oh, you're such a dick, but let's be friends anyway." Like it's just not
yeah.
happening, right?
She likes what she likes, and that's it. You know what I mean? So
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Shout out to Kuzi.
Yeah, so yeah, we've already talked about your edit, but you brought up Lettergate. So let's talk about Lettergate. So for anybody who again, go watch it. It's a good
Yeah,
rewatch.
go
Like
watch the
go watch
season.
Big
It's a
Brother. Like
great season.
come on, season 11. But Lettergate basically was that when you all had like you all move into the house with a certain amount of luggage, we'll say, and then people
Yep.
from home can like send you in more clothes or like, just extra things that you might have forgotten.
Yeah.
But that all gets like production picks it up and they like go through everything because you can't have pictures from home, letters from home, secret messages, anything like that, because
Yeah.
everybody who's home, they know the cast, they know, all kinds of details.
They know
And you
everything.
guys don't get to see any of that. Like you just meet each other. Like that's why there's so many people that like lie about their jobs and you don't
Yeah.
find out until after the show. So
Exactly.
like Lettergate was one of the other cast members, Hope, had this letter that his girlfriend, when she was packing his stuff for him, she like rolled up a letter and like threw it in one of his socks or something. So when production was going through
Yeah.
it, they didn't see it. He opens it up, doesn't know what to do, reads it, gets homesick. This is the edit that I saw. Reads it,
Yeah.
gets
Yeah.
homesick, shows it to you and Zach, uses it to kind of convince you and Zach that he's really homesick. He wants to go home because of
Yeah.
this letter, makes you feel bad for him, but that's not actually how he's feeling. Is that
Yeah.
what happened with Lettergate?
In a nutshell, correct. And the way you explain it, I still don't see how people can see me as a villain. You know what I mean? But first of all, it's like this is a great comparison, which is what Kevin Jacobs did last season with his wedding ring, where he
Mm-hmm.
used that as as part of a game move to gain sympathy from others.
Yep.
Hope tried to do the same thing with a letter. Now, the reason why it's different is because a wedding ring or a wedding band, whatever the case is allowed in the house.
Mm-hmm.
You put myself and Zach in a situation in a moral dilemma that I don't believe anybody should have been put in.
Yeah.
Do I tell on
100%.
this guy that he broke the rules? And what people need to understand again is like I'm learning the game as I'm going too. So me, like I said, Daniel C, we're pretty close through Zach, and he was telling me about the Big Brother community and how they can be vicious. You know what I mean? So here I am thinking like, yo,
They're
if Hope,
crazy. I'm one of you,
I'm like,
but you're all
yeah.
crazy. Like,
So he's explaining to me like the community is really tough, especially on people who quit and
mm-hmm.
cheaters, like people who play what we consider like a nasty game.
Yeah.
So in my head, once he shows me this letter, immediately I go into like Big Brother mode. Literally speaking, I'm like, bro, the last thing I want is for you to get disqualified and get torn apart by the outside. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
bro, if all you want to do is win and go home on a clean slate, cool. But people don't realize that that letter was the determining factor that changed my mind in terms of throwing the competition that I did to him,
Mm-hmm.
and he ended up using it against us, knowing Zach would have went home. So it's like the two people who were looking out for you, and people don't know this as well, and it's not shown. Right before the competition, I said, Zach, throw the comp. So if you watch back the competition, you'll actually see Zach saying, I don't need to win this. And they show a clip of him washing his face in the water because
Mm-hmm.
we're generally not trying to win. And again, people don't see I was light years ahead of everybody, but because of the edit, it looks like it was close the entire time. I realized how far ahead I was in that competition. And I looked over, I said, fuck. I had to start slowing down. So people are probably like, the rest of the house guests were watching me like, what's Ty doing? Why is he going so slowly now? It's because I wanted my guy to win. I wanted
Mm-hmm.
him to have a win and go home on a clean slate and not get disqualified and get like be the poster child of our season as being the cheater.
Yeah.
Right. So once we and he doesn't know this. This is the thing. Like in this time, he doesn't know that I'm throwing a comp for him and I'm doing this so that he can make a clean cut. So now when he decides that he wants to use the POV on himself and pull himself off because he thinks he's gaming us, which I guess in a hypothetical sense he is,
Mm-hmm.
he risks our guy Zach knowing he's guaranteed to go home. And I'm like, bro, like that's a really shitty move. But for whatever reason, me and Zach were made out to be the bad guys because we apparently intimidated him and all types of stuff, you know? So it was just a really messy situation.
It's such a weird situation. And I have gone over this in my head
Mhm.
a million times. Like when I watched it first, same reaction as everybody else in real time,
Yeah.
right? Like what the fuck? Like, why bring it up now? Why not bring it up right away
Yeah,
or not at
yeah,
all, whatever.
yeah,
But then
yeah,
like on a rewatch, it like I never picked up on it the first time, but Hope had said, I'm telling the guys I really want to go home, but I don't actually want to go home. So like the letter
mhm,
being involved in that, we don't know that at first,
yeah,
but that was part of it. So I do
yeah,
see where you and Zach were coming from when it came to feeling like he was cheating,
yeah,
right? I
yeah,
100% get that.
yeah.
But I,
And I also I encourage you to grill me with any questions and I'll explain
yeah,
because
oh
it's
yeah,
very multifaceted. So I'll answer anything you have.
yeah, because like I agree that I can see where you guys would feel like he was cheating,
Yeah,
and I'm very proud of you for one for not leaving the game,
yeah,
but at the same time, the amount of like fury that I was feeling when I
yeah,
watched you guys walk in to actually walk out. So what happens is that like basically Hope's letter comes to light. You guys tell on them. And like you say, rightfully so, because they even say they're like, why didn't you bring this up earlier? Like it's something
yeah,
that if you know it's there based on the rules of Big Brother, you're supposed to let production
yeah,
know.
yeah. And
So I think it was
like
production's fault for not finding it in the first place. Yes.
well, that's the thing. Yeah, and I
Right.
don't want to put this all on production. Like I take responsibility for my actions at the end of the day, but
Mhm.
it's like I'm explaining to people like it's a moral dilemma. It's like,
Yeah.
do I throw this guy to the wolves knowing what he's gonna have to experience once he gets out of here? Because Daniel C's explained to me like this world is nasty.
Hmm.
I'm like, or if I can set this guy up for a clean break, which is what he's telling me he wants,
Yeah.
then I would rather take that route and not rat him out.
So
But
when
once he starts
you,
to use it against us, I'm like, bro, so your intentions weren't to just win
yeah,
and go. You wanted to use it against us in the game. So I'm like, bro, this no, we can't play the game this way because it's not how
because
it's
then
gonna
he'll
go.
get off the block. Zach goes up and Zach
Yes.
goes home,
Yeah.
essentially, right? So,
Yeah.
okay. So when that happened, when you guys told on him, that was all well and good. He gets in trouble, but so he does get in trouble. They take his vote away or something, is it? They take his vote away. That's
Yeah.
their punishment for
Not that his
him.
vote mattered.
That's their punishment for him. But
Yeah.
to even the playing fields, they give
Which doesn't
everybody
even
else
it out.
a letter. So really, and I can see where this would come from in the game.
Yeah.
That doesn't really even it out. That well, I mean, it kind of does.
At
Everybody
all.
gets a letter, but it
It
makes
doesn't
Hope a
even I
hero,
can it makes him a hero. It doesn't even it out.
right?
It furthers the gap and the distance between myself and the house now because you're
Hmm.
further justifying his action and saying he wasn't wrong. Like in people's minds subconsciously, he was right because we all got the benefits of it.
Hmm.
And it makes Ty and Zach really look like they were wrong. So now
Hmm.
it furthers that distance in relationships with everybody because it's like, well, production says it was okay because we all got rewarded for it.
Yeah.
Remember, people are only thinking about themselves. They don't understand how it makes me and
Oh
Zach
my
feel.
God.
It's only
If
them, and
I'm,
I get that.
yeah.
So it's like people are like, oh well, it was just a letter. It's like if it was just a letter, why are people crying when they're getting letters from home?
Hmm.
It's not just a letter.
It's
Like
a
you don't
big
understand what that can do
deal.
to people.
Yeah, it
Huge.
motivates you.
That's
There's been seasons of the show where people are like uh, at the bottom, they win HOH, they get a letter from home, and all of a sudden it gives them the power to get through to the end, right? Like it
keep
is
going.
one of these things. So like I can see again how that would happen, but at the same time, there's nothing fair about Big Brother, right? There
Nothing at
never
all.
has been anything fair about Big Brother. That's
Yeah,
kind of what's fun about the bullshit of the show.
Yeah.
Is like
Yeah.
so many things.
And
Like ask Kevin Martin about his first season and how
yeah,
he got booted out on a twist. Like there's nothing, fair about it, right? So like
of
when
course.
that
Yeah.
punishment came in, it's like, okay, this is the rules. We follow them. But like Zach and you discuss leaving. You do look
Mhm.
hesitant the whole time.
Yeah.
Every time he's like, "Are we doing this? Are we doing this?" And you're
Yeah.
just kind of like, "Yes," but you
Yeah.
don't look it.
Yeah.
And Zach walks. What changed your mind about walking? And what do you think about Zach leaving the game?
First of all, I don't nothing Zach did and how he handled that situation I'll ever criticize. If I was in the same situation as him where I was actually on the block, I probably would have done the same thing, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think the
Mhm.
reason why I was so hesitant is because I wasn't the one being forced on the block, knowing I was going home because of something that should have never happened to start. So I understand that, Big Brother fans want to say, he's a quitter, X, Y, and Z. Like, how many people would have died for that spot? Cool. But you know how many people would have done the same thing if you were in that situation because of a cheat? Further,
Mhm.
I'm not going to bring up names. There was other people who quit on my season, but nobody gives them any heat for it. Again, I won't say any names, but because it's Zach, he gets the heat, which is unfair.
Mhm.
How come nobody talks about the other people? Because it's
And
mental
there
health and all that
there
stuff, right?
yeah, there've been people who quit other seasons.
Yeah,
And I'm not gonna lie, it pisses me off every time. And it's
yeah.
mostly I can
That's
see it
fair.
from their point of view, but at the
Yeah,
same time, it's because I do. Like I always try to put
yeah,
myself in everybody's shoes, right? So like when people quit,
yeah,
I'm like, fuck,
yeah,
put me on the show, right? But at the same
yeah,
time, it's like you just don't know what people are going through. So like I do get that. But like I think the big thing about Zach quitting and the difference between
yeah.
Zach and Vanessa, because I know Vanessa was the other one who quit.
I didn't
We
say any
don't
names. It
know.
wasn't, and also it
Yeah.
wasn't just Vanessa, but I'm not saying any names. But
Oh, right. Well, that was like day one or something. Well, yeah, I forgot.
listen,
I can't remember her name now. Amal.
yeah,
Yeah, so she went home. So like again, pissed, pissed, pissed,
yeah,
right? I'm
yeah.
watching it and I'm like,
So
what the hell? But like
yeah,
the biggest thing is, I think what rubbed everybody the worst about Zach's quitting was because he was going to stay, or it seemed like he was going to stay
yeah.
until he realized he didn't have the numbers to stay. So he quit instead of being evicted. That's, I think, what
Sure.
makes people upset.
That's a fair perspective, and I think there's some truth to that. I think
Mhm.
what we tried to do, because what we tried to do collectively, me and Zach, was right the situation the best we could. So the reason why he was trying his best to stay in the house is because if we were able to get the votes to keep him, even
Mhm.
if Hope stayed, he would have been okay with that. But because like there was no saving him. He tried to the very last minute. Like that's literally the day before evictions. We're like, bro, like there's no hope in this. You're going home because of a cheat. It's
Mhm.
like he wanted to at least leave with some type of dignity, saying I left and I didn't get voted up because of this situation that we should not have even been in to start. People don't
I mean,
understand that. It's like,
I
go
do
ahead.
agree about the situation. I do agree about the situation that
Yeah,
you shouldn't have been there to start. But at the
yeah,
same time, I don't know that it was leaving. So this is the opinion that I got from it. So
yeah,
for
of
me,
course.
when he left, it was like it wasn't a I'm leaving on my own terms. I'm leaving with dignity. It was I didn't
Yeah.
get my own way, so I'm just gonna quit. Do you know what I mean?
No,
like a
because
crybaby
if
kind of
that
situation.
no, because if that was the case, then he would have left it the moment that they announced everyone's getting letters. He tried his best to stay and say, "Can I at least get the votes to keep playing this game and not get evicted because I was put in this position that way?"
But
It would be,
that's what I mean.
it would be. What do you mean?
That's what I mean. So he left
Yeah,
because he wasn't getting his own way. He couldn't stay. He couldn't get the votes to stay. So he was like, well, fuck this. I
yeah,
quit. If you're not going to keep me in the
because
game, I'm going to quit.
that was the only remedy though. In my eyes, your guys' justification for not liking his quitting would
Mhm.
be justified if he had left as soon as they said everyone gets letters and Hope doesn't get to vote. Because now he's throwing a tantrum. He's not even trying to play the game anymore. He's just saying, I'm not
It,
getting my way, I'm leaving. But he actually continued to try. He was campaigning, he was doing whatever he could to say, guys, like this, look at the situation for what it is. Somebody cheated, and that's how I ended up in this situation. And because nobody wanted to save him, it's like, bro, like I can't even play the game anymore. It's literally impossible because of how they made Hope seem. They made us the
I
villains. Like
I
that was the
feel
case.
like I think I would have felt the opposite. If he had to, like, when everybody got their letters, if he had to just be like, man, that's not fair, I'm out
Yeah,
because of the integrity of the game, still would have been like really fucking annoyed. Like, I'd have been
yeah,
like,
of
oh
course.
my God, another person gone. Like, this is bullshit. But I think that had he left then, I would have felt like it was more based on his principles than if he didn't have to try to get the votes, right? But again, and I mean, like,
I don't know because
I'll
I think
probably
that
reach out to Zach at some point anyway, because I know I'm
yeah,
like asking you questions about somebody else.
yeah, I can't speak on
You
his
know,
behalf. I'm just saying from my
yeah.
perspective, and like I said, I would have done the same thing.
Hmm.
Like, and that leads to my approach to the situation. The reason why I didn't leave
Hmm.
is because one, I got my letter from my mom, which is a huge thing, and she's like, one of the greatest joys is watching her son on TV. I'm like, do I want to take that away from my mom? No. But also, it was almost like a revenge thing. I'm like, bro, I hate the way this was handled. If I could
Yeah.
watch one person leave before me, I
Hmm.
would be happy. Just one. I'm
Hmm.
like, at this point, there's no way I can win this game. My whole, Zach, me and Zach, that was my game.
Hmm.
My game is now gone. It's now just like I'm just trying to figure out how to make it one more eviction. So I
Hmm.
literally said, I'm gonna leave. If they send me out in 2 weeks, great. I just want to watch one person leave. So it was like a revenge thing. I'm like, I'm coming back in because this is not right. And the only way for me to feel like something was somewhat right is if somebody goes home before me, because there's no way you guys are sitting here with your letters from home saying, I'm happy that I got this letter because somebody else cheated.
Hmm.
And then somebody innocent who was actually trying to do the right thing morally, I'm not saying by the game standards, but
Yeah. Yeah.
morally got caught in the crossfire and now he's gone.
Hmm.
So that was my train. Like, so by my train of thought, I would have done the same thing Zach did. I would have tried to play the game as long as I could to make things right. And then if I went home after that, after my efforts, cool. I would have left.
Because I think
It's
what
it's
got
it's
me the
very
most, like, when you stayed, was that like one thing that you said, you're like, you're reading your letter, and you're like, this is a game. You're like,
yeah,
I am
yeah,
on a game show. Because that's one of the things too. Like, it's a game, but it's your life when you're in it. Like, it is your
yeah,
everything. You're living there. Like, it's like a jail sentence in a way, right? Like, you're
yeah,
fully
yeah,
there. You're controlled by Big Brother. So like
yeah,
when you read your letter and you're like, am I really gonna do this? This really is a game. That's
yeah,
where I was like, I kind of turned a little bit for you. I was like,
yeah.
okay, Ty gets it. Because again, and I think too, like maybe the difference if Zach was a fan, because I believe he might be a similar situation to yourself, where like he didn't really
Yeah, I
watch a
think
whole
so.
lot
Yeah,
of it. So
I
like
think
I
so.
feel like had he been a fan as well,
Mm.
he probably wouldn't have realized the fairness doesn't exist when it comes to Big Brother, right? Like there is just about every season, like all these twists and turns, and it's kind of like who can survive to the end. And
Yeah, but
sometimes,
I
like,
get that. Like twists
yeah.
and turns, I'm not gonna be mad about. Like we had
Hmm.
the dead last thing. Like if I ended up dead last and I was, on the block automatic, that's because of my own doing.
Hmm.
But like I said, and the way I try to I frame it for people is that okay, we got the girly pops. Let's
Yeah.
hypothetically in a hypothetical situation say Shania went to either Claudia and Renee and said, I have this letter.
Hmm.
What would you guys have wanted them to do? And I
Yeah.
asked them, I said, what would you guys do? Would you guys rat on each other? I guarantee they're not.
No.
It's like you're in a situation, like I said, where
And I
you're
think
making a
that you
decision that
guys,
nobody should have to make.
yeah, I think you guys did the right thing at first anyway by not saying
Yeah,
anything, because like
yeah,
it's Hope's thing to deal
yeah,
with, right? Like it's
yeah,
his letter, it's his thing. And I do understand where you come from when you're like, cool, you just told us this, you made us feel bad for you so that we would throw the game to you. Now
yeah,
you're not doing what you said you were going to do. Like, I completely get where everything was coming from. I think
yeah,
the biggest thing from Lettergate for me was the actual like self eviction. And it wasn't just
yeah,
the self eviction. I think it was the self eviction because the numbers wouldn't turn around. That's where I was like, okay, you're being a
yeah.
baby. You're being a baby. Take it on the chin.
I mean, I don't really consider it being. We can have differing opinions on this
I
one.
know
Like
we could
our
go
and our experience
forever.
is different, right? Yeah, yeah, of course. And you guys are
100%.
looking at it from as a viewer perspective. We were living
Hmm.
it, you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
like having to deal with the repercussions of something that we should have never have to deal with regardless. So it's like,
Hmm.
everyone's gonna say what they would have done, but nobody, you guys didn't live it, so you guys don't know what you would have done. You know
You
what I mean?
never actually know unless you're in that
Yeah,
situation, right? Like
yeah,
100%,
yeah,
100%. But
yeah.
let me tell you, it made for some really fucking good TV.
It did, and that was
I
the start
think
of my villain story. So it's
you
okay. Shout out to
listen,
to
in a
Let It Gate.
way. Well, I mean, you were going through a lot of shit too. Like, didn't Claudia like break up with you on the show right before this stuff happened? Wasn't that like when you guys had I
No,
think it was before
that was
Lettergate, wasn't it?
afterwards. No, it was
Oh,
during
it's
my
right
intake. I
after.
think
Oh,
it was
jeez.
afterwards. That's what I'm saying. Like my whole time in the house was a mess.
It
It's
was
just
a
crazy.
lot. It
Well,
was
and I
a
think
lot.
it trickled down a lot. People don't understand how that one situation affected me, plagued me the whole game.
Hmm.
Like it led to Claudia not feeling safe with me, which
Yeah.
I understand because at that point I was now the target of the house. Everybody wanted me gone because they're like, "Yo, Ty's gonna come in and try to seek revenge," which they were
Hmm.
partly right, but not
Yeah.
against everybody. And it also like during my HOH, because people were so against me, when I started telling everybody who my target is, which was Santina,
Hmm.
who did Canada save?
Yeah.
Right? So it turned everybody. I'm not only battling the house, I'm battling
Hmm.
production and I'm battling the fans now too. I
Yeah.
can't even try to get back on good terms with everybody because the one person that everybody wants gone, Santina, can't go
Hmm.
home. So now I
Yeah.
gotta take a shot at somebody who I didn't even want to take a shot at. And now I got the whole house is back against me again. I
Wild.
can't. So that's fair though. That's game. I
Yeah.
can be okay with that. Like the production is going against it. Cool. But when players are doing things that are not allowed and that's affecting the game, that
Hmm.
I can't co-sign. That's not
Yeah.
what I signed up for.
Yeah. And I
So
mean, that makes sense. Like I said, I think, to be honest, as bullshit as Lettergate was, period, like start to finish,
yeah,
I think it saved the season. And then the whole season itself was a good season, but there were
yeah,
so many people like pissed off because they're like, oh, there's no live feeds. I'm not even gonna watch it, blah, blah, blah. And like
yeah.
literally like 2 weeks in, it was like, this is the most insane season we've ever had. Three
Crazy.
people have
Yeah,
quit. You know what I mean? Like contraband was
crazy.
brought into the house, like
Yeah.
there's twists and turns.
Wild.
Like it was, say what
I
you
think
will
not.
about Zach, it was
Yeah,
good fucking ratings, like,
100%.
and we
I think
love to hate,
that's the thing. It's like
period.
you need a villain. You have to have
You
a villain
do.
because like if
Yeah.
you don't, then like what are you watching the show for?
I
But
love a villain.
I think that sorry, what was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. I
Sorry,
was
I
gonna
do
say
that.
that no, you're good. I was gonna say that like not having live feeds, I think actually worked out better because it allowed production to really control the narrative. Because if you have
100%.
live feeds, then you guys are gonna see the real conversations that I'm having with people. You
Mm-hmm.
can't make me the villain because you're gonna see that Ty's actually a genuine person. Zach, as much he could be arrogant as we all
Mm-hmm.
can be. We're all like, there's a bunch of alpha males, if you want to call that, in the house. We all had our moments where we're like talking ourselves up or whatever. But he was a solid guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's why everyone liked him. They loved him on a personal level, but on a game level, they seen how that's a big threat.
Yeah.
His ability to work a room is crazy
Yeah.
because people like
See,
him so much, right? So
and that was one thing that I still defend whenever I hear people be like, Ty, I didn't want Ty to win. Ty is this and Ty is that.
yeah,
And I'm like, dude, if
yeah.
Ty was really like that in person,
Mhm.
do you really think? Because there was one point in the game where I think it was like majority of the house had like different diary rooms where they were
Oh
like,
yeah,
my number one is Ty. Like you were
yeah,
people's number ones for a very long
yeah,
time. Like there's a reason people kept you around. They started going after you at the end because they were like, this guy's
yeah,
winning everything. Like we
yeah,
don't want him to beast out in the end, which is ultimately what you did. But
yeah,
like, I don't think that, you were a bad person, period, or you
yeah,
are a bad
yeah,
person, right? Like
yeah,
I think that I know the way things get edited. I love a
yeah,
villain. If there's no bad guy, why do you watch the show? Like there has to
yeah,
be villains in all of these shows. I wanted to be a villain on my season. I just
yeah,
got cut way too early. Because I was like gunning for it. Like I was like, give
yeah,
me
of
villain
course.
status. I don't care. So like realistically, like it's not a bad thing to be the villain, but like if you were actually like that in real life, you wouldn't have been told, or Canada wouldn't have been told by everybody that you were their number one. And like I think
Yeah,
that's a real good testament. Like you wouldn't have won the game, right? Like you
that's what I'm trying to say. I was sitting beside somebody who won safety from Canada and almost watched
Mhm.
her. It was 8-1. The only one vote I didn't get was her best friend because she felt bad for her. So it's
Yeah,
like if I
you
was this,
you get like you win this game by, yes, winning challenges, but you also have to please the people around you. You still have to have good
yeah,
relationships because it's
yeah,
the jury of your peers that vote for the winner. So really, like if
exactly.
you piss everybody off and they don't think you played a good game or they don't like you as a person, there's been countless seasons of people
Yeah,
who quote unquote should have won, didn't win. And it was because
yeah,
people didn't like them, right? So like
yeah,
there's definitely a testament to your relationships with people. I
yeah.
don't think you're a bad guy.
I
Like,
appreciate it. Well, thank you for bringing that up. It's the point that I try to
yeah.
make to a lot of people, and it's just like, yeah, you guys gotta use your head sometimes. Like, if I, like you said, if I was really this
Think
terrible of an
outside of the producers.
individual,
Hmm.
exactly. Understand that they're giving you a story, and obviously enjoy the story for what it is.
Hmm.
But you gotta take a step back and think realistically. Why are people keeping Ty around? Why do people speak this way about Ty? Why did they give him their vote at the end of the game if he was such a terrible person?
Yeah.
And everyone's, justification is that, oh, they're stupid. It's like, they're not stupid. Actually, a lot of very
They're
intelligent
stupid.
people in that house
Like
and
what?
super fans who understand how this game goes. It's like, no, they know who I am because they live with me. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
get like 5 minutes worth of, screen time every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think like at the end with Claudia, I think her only shot, and she didn't take it. She had it and
yeah.
she didn't take it. And I said, like, literally, like 2 weeks leading up to it, I was like manifesting. I was like, okay, I want Claudia to win final 3 HOH. And then she needs to cut Ty because
Yeah, yeah,
I'm thinking good TV too, right? I'm like, if she cuts Ty,
yeah,
takes Daniel C, it's at least 50-50 because I knew she didn't have a lot
yeah,
of fans in the jury, but like
yeah,
that
yeah.
would have been the ultimate game move to kind of sway people, right? And I think
That's debatable. I'm gonna jump
you
in here.
think? Yeah, jump in. Let's hear it.
Listen. I'm gonna defend Claudia here. Okay,
Okay.
Claudia made the right decision in the end. It was a lose-lose situation. From our perspective in the house before finale, she actually
Mm-hmm.
had a great chance against me because I didn't realize that people actually saw the game I was playing. I
Mm-hmm.
think that a lot of them were like still in this mindset of Ty is the villain of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought, listen, Claudia had a chance against me because she was almost guaranteed in my eyes. The girlie for opposite, that's 2 votes off rip. I'm like, Santina fucking hates me. Johnny, East Coast, he doesn't like me because of the Rob situation. That's 4 right there. And
Yeah.
all you need is 5 to win. And Daniel C was like, she had a good relationship with Daniel C. So we're like, that alone. And then Dan S, I'm like, bro, Dan S is just in a vote with Chanel. That's a
Yeah.
5 right there. So
Yeah.
we're like, she won. I'm like, I'm happy going second. That's cool. I made it to the end. Going through everything I went through, I won regardless in my eyes. I'm on finale
100%.
night.
Yeah.
So I was telling her, I'm like, yo, we can be the first showmance in history. Let's do it. If you win, I don't care. I was telling her the dream, you know what I mean? But we genuinely thought that her best chance, and even in the end, her best chance was against me because the amount of respect and love that people have for Daniel C, he
Mm-hmm.
had the crown guaranteed. The crown, nobody from the crown was going to vote for Claudia, guaranteed.
It's
That's
true.
4 votes off rip that you're not getting. I remember all you need is that last one. And if you cut me, I don't know how I would have felt in the end. It's hard to say
Yeah.
because if she had promised me up until that point, we're going final 2 regardless. Given I just saved you from these same people like a week before, I might have been a little bitter and said, you know what? I don't respect that. Daniel C, you take
See,
my vote, and she would have lost.
so my not knowing you, just met you, like basically, like we met each other just
Yeah,
last couple of months, haven't really known you
yeah,
for a long time. But like watching the show, my opinion was that if Claudia had to cut you, as
mm-hmm.
much as that would have sucked, you would have been
Yeah,
rotted. I think you
yeah,
would have voted for her because I think
potentially.
you respect strong moves and you respect,
Yeah,
again, all opinion
yeah,
based, but from what I
yeah,
could see, you respect strong moves and strong women especially because when
yeah,
Claudia started to go after you, she was after you in
mm,
the house, and when she was
yeah,
trying to boot you out, it seemed like, again, it's all hearsay because it's, whatever production wants you to see, but like when I was
yeah,
watching it, she was trying to get you out. I was like, this
yeah.
guy respects her even more now because she's coming after him. I was like, if she gets him out, he is voting for
Yeah.
her. And I,
I
you
and
don't
that's
know
the
what
thing.
you would
It's
have
up in.
done, but
I don't know. It's true. It's honestly true. I don't know because I wasn't in
mhm,
that situation. And I think in the moment where she had to say who she evicted between me and Daniel, I think I was like, I accepted my fate already. I was like, even if I walk out now, I'll be fine. Like I made it this. Like the fact that I made it this far, given everything I went through,
huge.
like I already won. You know what I mean? So it's like there's a chance she would have got my vote. But remember, like 4 votes already that she
Hmm.
doesn't have.
Yeah.
Santina, I don't know if Santina would ever give up. So she loses either way. You know what I mean?
It's true.
And I
Yeah.
think in the end of it is like she still made history as the first showman in the end. You know, if Daniel C won the money, she wouldn't see a penny of that. I can promise you. But with me, hey, there was a chance you might see a few bucks. You know what I mean? So she made the right move. That's what it comes down to.
Since we're on the topic, are you and
Yeah,
Claudia still together? And if not, are you still speaking friendly, that kind of thing? Give the
we're not.
viewers an update.
Yeah. We're not together. Um, I'm good. I haven't talked to her in a while. Like our communication is definitely not the same as it was.
Hmm.
Not for any particular reason in my eyes. I still have very great feelings towards her. I hope she's doing well, and of course, I want to always see her do amazing things. But I just think that we come from very different worlds. I don't know how she's processing coming off of the show. I don't know how she deals with the opinions of everybody. So I don't know if that's
Hmm.
like you know I guess influencing the way she has maneuvered post show.
Hmm.
But yeah, in terms of where we're at right now, I'm good. You know what I mean? She can hit me whenever she wants if she needs to. There's no hard feelings on my side, but you would have to talk to her to see where she's at with it. You know what I mean?
Listen, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to get like this will end up being like a Big Brother show. Watch now.
Yeah, yeah. Claudia is hard to get a hold of though, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can try. Who knows? Melby's the best, so we'll see.
Listen,
Maybe you can pull it
Melby,
off.
I
Don't give
can,
up.
the amount of people I've annoyed into being on my podcast in the past. This started
Hmm.
with season 9 Big Brother, let me tell you. I
That's
used to do a
crazy.
podcast with a girlfriend of mine, and it was during the pandemic, and then Big Brother Canada was starting. I was like, let's start watching this show. Because again, I never watched
Yeah.
the Canadian version. I was like, let's watch this. Let's just start like talking about it on our podcast. We'll do recap
Hmm.
episodes. Cut to Obsession. Cut to Tina Thistle from Newfoundland gets off. So I like send her a DM. She responds. I'm like, holy shit, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
Tina responded to me. She said yes to be on the show. And then honestly, we just kind of like snowballed from there. I tricked Tina into being my best friend. I charmed her. And then she ended up inviting us over to her house for beers because Tara came to
Dang.
Newfoundland. So we
Shout out
partied
to
with
Tara.
them. Yes,
Yeah.
like they were so great. And then from then on, like I think she's after having like Kiefer from that season. She hooked me up with him to come on the pod.
Hmm.
Josh, like it just kind of
Yeah, yeah.
snowballed. So yeah,
That's
I've been
sick.
stalking Big Brother people for a while. It's an issue. How has winning Big Brother Canada changed your life in any way? And if it has, like how so?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I feel like there's so many changes. Like my life is different in the sense that I can walk outside and people just recognize me now, like which is crazy. You know what I mean? And I think that it had taught me a lot about myself, that whole experience. And I feel like I'm very I shouldn't say I'm positive, but because we all are still learning ourselves as we grow.
Mhm.
But I think that I have a better understanding of who I am as an individual now because of, you know, the experience I had on the show and being misunderstood, which is something I think I have been a lot of my life. But it further drives home the point that if you just continue to be yourself, the right people will gravitate towards you and the right things will happen for you. Like I feel
Mhm.
like intention is a huge thing. And I feel like I always try to have the right intentions. Whether it's received correctly or not is out of my control. But as
Mhm.
long as at the end of the day I can go to sleep and be comfortable in myself, knowing that I'm doing the best I can, that's all that anybody should strive for. So in that sense, I've learned a lot about myself, and I'm like I said, I'm very happy with the man I'm growing into. The money's not too bad either. You know what I mean? I have a lot of flexibility
Helps.
to do. Yeah, it definitely helps. I mean, it's not no whatever 500,000 or 750, whatever the US wins.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hmm.
That's real life changing money. But I mean, like it's giving me some flexibility in terms of what I can do, like branch on to starting other businesses and stuff. So yeah, I've taken a lot. There's nothing negative I would say that has come from it. Sure, you get the little trolls here and there that send you messages about how much they hate you and how you're not as good of a player as you seem to be, whatever the case may be. But you're gonna have those opinions regardless of who you are. You could be the absolute best player in Big Brother history, and you'll still have people
Literally.
who dislike you, right? So it comes with the territory, and I feel like if you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong. You're not you're
100%.
not you're not pulling the strings of people's hearts hard enough, you
Yeah.
know. And I think I did a great job of that. So I'm proud of it. I'm happy about the outcome, and I'm just grateful to see what I was manifesting just last year come to fruition.
Fucking wild, hey?
Crazy ride,
Like
crazy
it's
ride.
wild. I think it has a lot to do with intention and perspective, right? So
Yeah,
like not everybody's going to see things from your perspective. They're all going to have their own ideas, their own thoughts, their own opinions. And none of that matters because you can't control any of that. All you can
yeah,
control is how you walk in life, what you do for people, and the intent behind it. And if you know
yeah,
you, that's all that matters, right? The internet trolls are
yeah.
going to be there. We've literally had,
Regardless.
25 seasons of Big Brother US. There's been now
Mm-hmm.
coming in 12 seasons of Big Brother Canada. Like
Mm-hmm.
trolls are going to troll. They're just around.
That's
It doesn't
that's how it
matter, you
goes.
know? So you
Doesn't.
just ignore them. I think that's one thing that I got asked before I went on the traders. You had to have like all of these interviews and assessments, we'll say, and all this stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing that did get asked to me was like, how are you going to handle your shitty game, your good game, your like, how's
Mm-hmm.
your business going to work? Like, what are you going to do? And I remember being like, Control Alt Delete. Like I was already deleting trolls. I've
Yeah.
got like 1,000 followers. I don't have like a huge following. And I
Yeah.
already have people deleted who were like in
Mm-hmm.
my inbox pissing me off. Like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna comment on my pictures and just like say stupid shit, then like
Yeah.
I'll just delete
Listen,
you.
for me, that's too much. To me, that's too much energy. I don't even do it. I
Yeah.
see a comment and I like it. Thank you. I appreciate that I take up so much real estate in your head that you took the time to comment for me today. Or send me
Literally.
a very long message that you will never get the shot. Like, cool, you sent it to me and I'm laughing at it. So it's entertainment for me, but nobody else is gonna see it. Like,
Yeah.
what did you really accomplish?
And
You know
like,
what I
how
mean?
much
So,
time and energy did that take out of that person's day? Like,
man,
where is your
like
head?
it's but this is what I'm saying. It's like the people who send these types of messages are so unhappy in their own lives that sending these types of messages is like the
Yeah.
highlight of their day.
Yeah.
I'm so upset with myself that I want to try to bring Ty down. Listen, I'm on top of the world right now, if you haven't noticed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
in a very
That's
great space in my life. And it's like what you're saying to me is actually like further confirmation that what I'm doing is great. Like I really, I really touched you in a certain way that I'm important enough to you to send me a message. So thank you
yeah.
for the time of your day that you took to message me.
That's
Really means
their
a lot.
dopamine. It's where they get it from.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so let's get into, you mentioned your other businesses. So
Yeah.
I have been like targeted
Yeah.
by Top Performers Arena
Top performance
on my
arena.
Facebook, on my Instagram. I start
Yeah.
scrolling and I'm like, what is
There he
this?
is
And I
again.
see Ty. It's like Big Brother
Yeah.
Canada's very own Ty Mcdonald. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna message you and I was like, no, I'm gonna save this for the
You'll
pod.
wait for it.
I want to know what it is. Top Performers Arena is what it's called. So,
Yep.
what is this business? Tell me about it.
So I think that a big part of my Big Brother journey um, was how strong my mindset was throughout adversity. Like playing the game with my back against the wall, but you never see me panic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm locked in. I'm like, whatever. What's the next challenge? You know what I mean? And I think that's my strength. That's something that I bring to the world. And I think that coming out of the game, something that my boy Zach had actually said to me, he's like, bro, you need to. That's your that's your thing. That's your gift. And you should start something like a coaching program where you help people do the same thing. You know, maybe
Mm-hmm.
they can't do it to the degree you do right away, but it's something that you can help people kind of develop over time and like really bring value to the lives of people. So Top Performance Arena is a coaching program that I put together to help people develop the mindset and the fortitude needed to kind of pursue their goals that otherwise they probably wouldn't try to pursue because we always have this little voice in our head that stops us from taking that first step because we're scared of rejection or we're scared of failure, whatever that may be. And we live these subpar lives and we always say, you know, what if, what if, what if? So my goal is really to stop people from saying what if and just do it. If it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work out, okay, how do we maneuver this situation? Things won't always work out, you know, the exact way you think they will. And you're gonna run into these problems that we all inevitably do at some point in our lives. But there's always a way around it. And I just want to make sure that, you know, I'm able to help people achieve whatever they're trying to achieve, regardless of all the extra stuff. Because that's what
Mm-hmm.
I was able to do. I overcame the impossible in the Big Brother house, but I've also been doing that before Big Brother. And that's what people don't see is like I've always faced adversity in my life. I've always been, in my eyes, a high achiever. I've been great in school, sports, my lines of work. You know what I mean? I've always been the person to try to be the best. Regardless of I'm actually the best or not, I'm always gunning for that position. I always want to be the best because that's what drives me. So you guys saw a little bit of that on the game where, again, back against the wall and still came out on top. And I feel like I want to be able to help people see that strength in themselves and just pursue life relentlessly and everything that comes with it because we have one life. So
Mm-hmm.
why we shouldn't just be going through the motions of life and letting life control us. Like we really got to take control and really you know shake things up before our time expires.
So many people don't realize how much is waiting on the other side of fear, right? So many people
Yeah,
are just so afraid. They get caught up in the mundane, the usual, the everyday, or even just basic responsibilities. And you don't
mm-hmm.
realize that like there is no reward without risk. Like you have to
None.
take a risk. And
Yeah,
sometimes you're gonna fail and sometimes you're gonna fall flat on your face, but like we're resilient and we can pick it back up and we can move forward. But like the point is that you keep trying, you keep going after shit. Like
exactly.
your heart and your body and your mind, like you want things for a reason. We are
Yeah,
drawn to certain pathways for a reason. And
mm-hmm.
like, there's so many people that are like, I really don't know if I would do good at that. So I'm just going to stay here. I'm going to like work at Walmart for a little while instead. Or,
Yeah,
I'm going to do what's convenient. instead
Mhm.
of chasing after the shit that's hard to get. Right. And
Yeah,
like, I love that you have that business because I really do think that like we are our own worst enemies. Like,
by
we hit
far.
snooze, you know what I mean? We
Mhm.
take the day off. We fucking say we're going to come home and do all this shit. And then we sit on the couch and scroll on our phone for
Do
3
nothing. Yep,
hours. And, so
exactly.
like we are our own worst enemies. But like when you have accountability, like it's why
Mhm.
people hire personal trainers, right? When
Yeah,
you need a coach for the things that you want to achieve, whether it's going to be a
yeah.
nutritionist, personal trainer, life coach, business coach,
Mhm.
like whatever you need, the greatest of greats have coaches.
Have
So I
somebody.
think that
Yeah,
like knowing your strength and knowing your ability
yeah,
in coaching people and being able to bring that out of others, I think that's
yeah.
great. I love that you started this and that
I
people have the
appreciate that.
opportunity if they want to, that they can work with you to get out of
Yeah,
their own fucking way, you know?
that's literally it. Getting out of your own way. I feel like, like you said, we are our own biggest enemy, but we can also be our greatest strength if you just flip that switch in our mind, like going from I don't know if I can do this to I'm gonna make this happen. That's literally the mindset I wake up with. Like I owe it, complete disclosure. We all have our moments where we're like we second guess ourselves or we think of, you know, any given amount of reasons why something can't work out in our favor. But
Mm-hmm.
it just takes that one conversation with yourself to be like, nah, I'm gonna do this. Once you make up your mind, like there's literally nothing stopping you from accomplishing it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the I guess the messaging that I want to share with people and like, with people I work with is like a dream is only a dream so long like until you make a plan for it. Then it turns into a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And goals are very achievable. You know what I mean? A dream is just an idea you have, but as soon as you sit down and say, "This is how I'm going to accomplish it," it's now a goal, and the goals are very easy to accomplish. I shouldn't say easy, depending on the magnitude of it, but they can be very simple. But it's just
Mm-hmm.
a matter of creating a plan, a game plan together, step by step, and before you know it, you're going to look up and it's right in front of you. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what the business is built around, and the culture that I want to build within the community that I'm going to build as well.
I love that. There's so many people
I
who like,
appreciate it.
I fucking hate when people say, I can't. Here's why. I'm like, I don't want to hear the
Yeah,
list of bullshit reasons that you give yourself why you can't do something. There's always
yeah.
going to be a million reasons why you can't, right? You got to figure out, okay, if this is stopping me, well, then how can I get around
How
it?
do I
Like
address it?
obstacles are
Exactly.
going to be there. You just have to get around it in order to get what you want out of life. And like this thinking small thing, like, oh, I'm never going to be able to do this. I'm never going to be able to do that. If somebody's already done it, you can do it.
You
And
can
if
do it.
somebody
Exactly.
hasn't done it, find out how. Like find out how to
That's
be the
literally it.
first. Like there's so much people don't realize how big the world is and how many
Huge.
possibilities that are out there, you know? So, love that. Good job. Keep
Appreciate
target
it. Thank
marketing
you.
me.
I, I appreciate it. You might see me on your screen right after this.
Listen, I literally like yesterday was scrolling. I was like, oh, there's Ty again. Just I'm like,
There he is
we're not
again.
Facebook friends, but you were all over my Facebook. Like literally every
Oh, that's
third ad
lovely.
or something. Okay, I'll wrap it up shortly. I know we've been talking. I see
No
my
worries.
intention for this is like, okay, I'm gonna start cutting these interviews to like a half hour, and I always end up going into like an hour with people because
That's
I
okay.
love
I'm having a good time.
good. Yeah, you would have been gone. You'd be like, you know what?
No, no, no.
I
I'm
my
having a
phone's
great
ringing. I
time.
gotta go. So I did put it on like my Instagram, my Facebook, if people had some questions for you. So I do have a couple of questions I just want to run through.
Yeah.
So we'll call them fan questions.
Okay.
So one person wanted to know from all of season 11,
Mhm.
who was your favorite house guest? They said be honest, and they
Mhm.
hashtagged Wafflegate. But it wasn't anybody from the
Bufflegate.
cast. Like I'll just say that it wasn't anybody. It was it. I don't know who this person is. Um, they're just in my DMs with this question.
Well, you already know my right hand guy, Zach, is my favorite. But if we're talking about people who didn't self evict,
It's a shorter
uh,
list because there's three that
yeah, yeah.
are
Um,
gone.
hmm, that's a good one. I'd probably say Daniel C.
Yeah,
I'd probably say Daniel C. That's my guy. My guy.
I can see that. You
My
it's a
dog.
that's a hard question too though, because you guys really do
It
have a good
is.
cast. It was a good
We
cast.
have a great cat. Yeah, yeah, no, I got along with almost everybody. There's
Hmm.
that, but the people who I didn't get along with wasn't because we didn't get along. It was just like we're very different people. We don't really mesh like that, right? So, and that's how it goes in life in general, right? You don't have to be enemies with somebody or dislike them, but you're gonna gravitate towards certain people who are like
Hmm.
more similar to you in certain senses, right? So,
Yeah. Absolutely. Everybody doesn't like you're like what that was one thing that I said too when I was on the show. And they were like, how are you gonna
Mm.
handle, this person not liking you, whatever. It's like, I am not everybody's cup of tea. Like
Yeah, of course.
not everybody's gonna like me. That's
Mm.
why you should be able to turn off your screen. Like when I
Mm.
first started my podcast, fucking 4 years ago now. And my parents said to me, because I'm a realtor, and at the time, we originally called it the Why the Fuck Not podcast because that's like my life motto, right? Like just why not? Why
Yeah,
the fuck not? Just
yeah,
like just do the thing. So when we started it, that's what we called it. And we did eventually change the name so we could get more exposure.
yeah.
But when we first called it that, I remember my dad was like, now, like, you're in the public eye and you're technically a public figure because you're a realtor and all this sort of stuff. And you got to watch what you're saying on that. And like my exact words were like, if people don't like what I have to say, I don't
Those are
want
not your
to work
people.
with them. Right.
Yeah,
Like there's
yeah,
so many other agents, there's so many people, there's enough abundance in real estate and whatever to go around. I'd rather
yeah.
work with the people that I mesh with.
Of
We're going to have a
course.
way better time. We're going to get
Yeah,
along better. We're going to trust each other better. It's just a better
yeah.
relationship. Right. So like that was one of the things, like, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. It doesn't mean you have to be
And I
anybody.
knew that. I said that like even before the show. I was like, listen, people are either gonna love, and I said on the show too. I was talking to Anika. I said, listen, on the outside, people either love me or hate me. There's no in
Mm-hmm.
between with me, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a fuck who doesn't like me. It's the people that like me and are rooting for me. That's why I'm still here doing what I'm doing. So like, you guys can give me all these sob stories about oh, you said you said you're gonna do. I don't care. I'm not hearing all of
Mm-hmm.
that. The people who are rooting for me back home are rooting for me. So I'm gonna play the game to make them proud. That's
Yeah.
all I care about. And like, the people, yeah, your supporters, that's the only people you should be focused on, not people who are not in your life, who don't support you, X, Y, and Z. They don't matter. Those are
Mm-hmm.
not your people. That's not your tribe. So no, I'm
Yeah.
glad you said that.
Yeah. Don't let them bring you down. Just you do you and do it for
Yeah,
your own. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, it's just how
exactly.
it is. What's on your bucket list if you have one? Any kind of travel experience? Like, what's on the bucket list?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely want to. Well, this year I got some responsibilities to take care of at home first. So, granted, I can take care of that stuff, relatively quickly. I want to travel. Like, I want to go to the ideal situation is to move to LA and
Mm-hmm.
start building stuff out there. But I definitely want to take a trip to Bali as well. Just go out there for
Mm-hmm.
like a month or two and just like be in nature, you know, focus on just learning more about myself and like, what the trajectory of my life is looking like right now and figure out next steps and that kind of thing because I'm gonna be 29 next month, crazy. So there's gonna be a time where I need to start thinking of a family that's coming up soon, right? So I think that I want to get some traveling done before that time comes.
Yeah. Get in all the experiences. So when are you coming to Newfoundland?
That's a great question. I gotta check my
You
boy
you've
too.
gotta you've got to come to Newfoundland,
I definitely,
before all
yeah.
that.
What do you guys what's it called again? Screeching?
Screeched in. Yeah.
I gotta get screeched in. Johnny said he'll do it for me, so maybe I'll
Listen,
be over there soon.
like, make the plan. Here's the thing too, like the Big Brother community in Newfoundland, we've got a lot of people who've been on Big Brother.
Yeah.
And like when somebody comes from like another province, the Big Brother community, they just like swarm together. Like I haven't been in, I've been trying to like insert myself in there for a while. I feel like I have a little bit more clout now because I got traders,
Yeah.
but like I'm working on it still. But like the Big Brother community, literally like they'll all just like go out to fucking dinner. They'll go to George Street. They'll do the screeching
Yeah.
thing. Like it's
Yeah. I
it's
heard
a
about George
thing.
Street.
Oh, George Street is
Yeah,
legendary.
Johnny was telling us all about that. So I definitely gotta experience that for sure.
Yeah. Hit them up, make a plan, let me know because I'll just
And
invite
I'll let you know.
myself. Like I will be
Listen, wherever
there.
I'm at, you're always invited. So
Yeah, it's not even your choice anymore. I'm just there. What would it take for you to return to Big Brother Canada? What season and circumstance would it have to be for you to go back on the show?
I'll call me back whenever. I'll come and destroy the house again. Doesn't matter when.
Literally anytime.
Call me today.
Dude,
I'll be
I'm
here today.
still on that. They
It's a
won't.
dream. It's a dream, guys. I feel like I'm just keep trying.
They
Never
might.
listen.
They might.
Daniel C tried out for 11 seasons straight.
Yeah, I know.
Twice a year. Like that dedication is crazy. And he just got on already. So you just never know. I
Yeah.
never tried out before and I got on. He tried out for
Hmm.
11 years straight and got on.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
listen, man, just don't give up. Just keep going. The first time doesn't work, maybe the second time will. The second time
Hmm.
doesn't work, maybe you never know, right? So keep trying.
Working on it. Keep waiting. You'll see me eventually. I'll be
I
on
will. I
something
told you
again.
when you win your first HOH, I gotta hear the ball game. Has to
Listen,
be there. Or so I'm
I'll wear the
boycotting you.
shirt. I'll
I'm
wear the hat,
canceling
the
you.
shirt. You can cancel me. Melissa's canceled. She didn't say ball game when she won HOH. Turn off the TV, shut it down,
She's done. Yep, she's
unsubscribe.
done.
We're done. Yeah. So would you ever do another reality show? So like these are the
Yeah,
next ones are my questions, right? So like I did the
yeah,
fans, but these are my couple of
yeah. I would
questions.
definitely do Survivor because there's a
Hmm.
super big bag over there. I would do the challenge. I'm waiting for the call from the challenge. Like I have the record for the most wins in history.
Call
Like what are we
them.
waiting for, guys? What I don't know. I have their number. Apparently, I don't know. Like I said, I'm new to this
Okay, hold
reality
on.
space.
Do you need some
You got to break it up for
Melissa?
me.
Do you need some Mel B
Go ahead.
coaching? Do
Let me hear
you
it.
need
Let's go.
to hire me?
I'm all
You don't
ears.
wait
I'm all
for the
ears.
call, Ty. You
Listen,
pick up the phone,
I don't have the number. Apparently,
you
this from
find
what I
it.
hear, this you can tell me if I'm wrong, but from what I hear is the challenge calls up people from other shows. It's not one of
I've
those you can
heard
apply
that.
to. So I don't
I've
know.
heard
Like
that.
if I could apply, I would have applied already.
But here's what
What
you
are we
need to
doing?
do. Here's my clearly
Listen, you
successful.
gotta say this. No, you gotta say this off the record. You're giving other
Okay.
people the
True, true,
ideas.
true. We don't need anybody zooming in. Okay.
You don't.
All I'm gonna say is you just need a coaching lesson. So
There's a will,
after
there's a
this,
way, right?
I'll give you a free session. Okay. But
Sounds
that'd
good.
be awesome. Yeah, challenge. Would
That'd be
you ever
sick.
do
Yeah.
traders?
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever get called because I wasn't really portrayed as somebody who's like a very social person like that. So I don't think I would ever get that call. But yeah, I would do traders. I think it's a cool concept. We played a game similar to traders in the house. So yeah, I mean, I think I'll do well as a trader too.
I think you're definitely going to get a call for traders. So like right
Hopefully.
now I don't think we're renewed for season 2 in Canada just yet, but it was like
Mm.
one of the top performing shows this year. So I do believe that there will be a
They
second
did
season.
well.
If they're
Sick.
following the US format, because they did the first time, we did like half reality, half like normies, I guess, whatever you call
Yeah.
us, civilians. So that was the first season. Season 2 of US is all celeb. So it wouldn't
Uh,
surprise me if season 2 of Canada also did all celeb. Like I don't actually
yeah,
know, but
that'd
like
be
it seems
cool.
like they're closely following that. So like if that's the case, even if it's half reality, half civilian,
Yeah,
I think you're a shoo-in for the call because it doesn't really
yeah.
have to do
Hopefully.
with being social.
Yeah.
It is a social strategy,
Mm,
but it's got to do with like sussing people out and like
mm,
actually finding out who the traders are, or if you are the trader,
yeah.
going
Not getting
undetected.
detected.
And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, like it's something that it's totally had I realized going into it, completely different from Big Brother. Because I went in with a Big Brother strategy in mind and don't do
Didn't
that.
work out.
But
Yeah, I definitely won't do that.
if you get the call, call me and I'll tell you what not to do.
You know. Don't
Okay,
kill
so
me.
final question, and it's just something that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to end my podcast with this question for everybody. If
Mm.
you could look back now, did you say you're going to be 29?
I will be 29 in a month. Yeah.
So, Mr. Almost 29, if you could look
Mm.
back right now and talk to 16-year-old Ty
Whew.
with your brain today, with who you are today, with everything you've learned and experienced over the years, what would you say to him? Like advice or just whatever. Like what would you say to your 16-year-old self?
I'd say just keep going. You're doing the right things. You're on the right path. It's gonna be hard sometimes. There's gonna be challenges. You know, have people who don't have your best interests in mind, but don't let that change you and your heart. Just keep being
Mhm.
you. That's what it comes down to. I actually did this last year where I wrote a letter to myself to read the following year. And it's
Mhm.
very similar, like just being able to talk to yourself, no matter the age. I think that the messages are relatively the same, no matter what age you're talking to. It's just like be more of yourself.
Yeah.
Stop living for these things that might come or might not come. Stop living for these things that put fear or cause hesitation in your life. Like just be you, live with a purpose, and follow through on whatever it is you feel like you're here on this earth for.
I
So
love
to my
that.
16-year-old self, just keep going. That's it.
That's pretty solid advice. I think that's solid advice for anybody. 16,
Yeah.
102. Just
Don't
keep
matter the
going.
age.
Right?
That's
Yeah.
it.
One of my things that I keep thinking of is like, don't shrink. Like,
That's it.
don't put out your shine to make other people more comfortable. Like, don't shrink yourself
Yeah.
down to fit into their boxes. Like,
Mhm.
be you and create your own. Like your people will come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Cool.
No, I love that.
Awesome. Well, this has been fabulous. We certainly went through all kinds of topics in a whirlwind, and I'm excited. I'm happy that we had the conversations that we did. Is there anything you'd like to say before we go? Do you have anything to add?
No, I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you, talking about the tough things.
Bring it all up.
And
Bring it up.
yeah, bring it all up. Listen, it's important stuff. So I hope people watch this and see my perspective on certain situations and certain gates, this, that, and the third. But yeah, like I appreciate your time and I'm happy that you're doing this.
Awesome. So where can people find you? So we all give us the details on your coaching business. Where can people
Yeah,
get started on that? And then where can
yeah,
they follow you on social media or any other projects that you have on the go?
yeah. Social media, I'm predominantly on Instagram. You can follow me at Ty Mcdonald. You can also find my coaching program on Instagram at Top Performers Arena. Send me a DM or email. It doesn't really matter whether it's my personal or my business account. And we can take it from there. It's real straightforward.
Perfect. And he's also all over social media ads. So Facebook will find
Yeah,
you.
you can't miss me.
You just have to think about bettering your life and the ad will just pop up.
Exactly. Boom, right there.
All right. And you can follow me on Best on the Rock, DAROCK, because the Rock was taken. So Best on the Rock on Instagram and TikTok, and same with YouTube as well. If you're listening to this on audio, leave a comment. If you're listening to this on YouTube, subscribe. Do both either way, just so that people can find me, because I would like this to continue. So thank you for listening. If you're still there, pass it along, share it with your friends, like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.